Good evening, everyone who have joined us live for this session. Well, this is the second episode of the series Military to Corporate Bridging the Gap. If you recall, last month on the occasion of Kargil Vijay Divas, M2C launched this initiative where we're going to have two live sessions under the umbrella of Military to Corporate Bridging the Gap. Well, this is the second episode. So if you ask me who should be attending these sessions, number one, veterans who are looking at starting their second career in the corporate. Number two, companies and organizations who is looking at hiring this talent. They'll definitely benefit from these sessions because you'll get to know what this talent is all about and how to go about hiring these talent. And number three, if you just start here to gain some knowledge, you'll benefit as well. So for today's session, we have invited, military veterans who have successfully transitioned from their military careers to the corporate, or I can say from being a military warrior to corporate leaders today. I'm really excited to host this panel discussion. For the folks who do not know me, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Major Rimple Khanka. I have about 25 years of work experience. Yes, I'm a military veteran too. Was in the army for about 8 years. And after that, I joined Bank of America in their HR vertical. Was with the bank for almost about 12 years. And now I'm a career coach. I specialize in coaching military professionals for their successful transition to the corporate. Well, with that, let's come to our second episode and let's have our panelists here. So today, who are there with us are, we have Colonel Amrit Singh, we have Scotland leader Sumedha Chopra, and Commander Varuna. Thank you so much, speakers and panelists, for coming forward, taking out time. And I'm sure the audience are going to really benefit from your insight. So without further delay, let's get going. So what this session is all about, folks, is that we'll request the panelists to introduce themselves, talk about their transition journey, and I have a couple of questions for them. And I'm sure when they're answering those questions, all of you who are watching are going to benefit from this. So let's start, the session. Thanks once again, panelists. So let's start with you, Colonel Amrit. Colonel Amrit, you came out of the army after almost 20 plus years. So talk about your transition journey, and of course, please introduce yourself. Over to you, Colonel Amrit.
Yeah, good evening, Major Rimple, and good evening to my co-panelists. At the outset, let me thank you for having me on a panel. I'm indeed privileged and honored, and thank you very much. Well, as far as my transition journey goes, I have served in the Indian Army for about 23 years plus. And the shift from after having served 23 years plus in the Army, in the Corps of Signals, has been a significant shift, to say the least, as it is for many others, in fact, transiting. And it involved, the skills which one has developed during the, tenure or the service in the Army, uniformed service in the Army, like, a mission first mindset. We all have a mission first mindset and, deep sense of responsibility. Working under pressure is another very important thing which we people have actually, been trained. And team management, of course, we always work in teams, and the leadership skills you develop thereafter is of immense value. And the major challenge was, translating these, skills or values which one has developed into the new from military, in the military, to the new environment, which is going to be the corporate one, corporate shift. So to tell you brief about my service in the Army, as I just said, I spent around 23 years. And during the tenure, being in from Signals, I had a opportunity of, having served in various technical domains. Apart from communications being the primary thing, I had the opportunity to work in the military intelligence as part of the electronic intelligence team, as also part of the electronic warfare, and having commanded the electronic warfare unit. So I had the extensive, field of experience in this field, and which I wanted to convert it in the corporate, sector. But my last tenure had been a significant one in my journey to, in transition. I was last posted as the director of one major network which Indian Army runs. Both, and incidentally, I was involved in both the planning of the network as also the operation of the existing network. So there I got probably 360-degree view of my profession, and which indeed helped me a lot. Now, the next question comes was the transition. When I thought of transiting, since it was a premature retirement, in 2012, I thought of transiting. That's the time I began, considering my next steps as to what all is to be done, what is to be done, and how I do groom myself. And the corporate world, felt like a different battlefield altogether, if I can say so, because they have their own rules, their own expectations, and things like that. So what do I do? I mean, I was in a dilemma. So what I did was I basically, consulted. The immediate thing you do is, as we are taught, you catch hold of your seniors. And so what I did was I caught hold of my mentors, the veterans who had, successfully migrated, and took their advice. I also, having been posted at a place where I used to, interact with various, industry OEMs and others, I started attending these, industry events, which helped me connecting to the professionals, helped me to understand what is the corporate landscape and identify the industry, and make me understand as to how I convert the values and the skills which I got from the military to the corporate world. The main thing was to find out what is the right fit for me, exactly where do I fit in the whole ball game, so there came, I thought, I realized that the project management and operations was the area which would be helpful based on my military experience, and would particularly be valuable. So thereafter, because we had always, being in signals and technical arm, as it would be for the other forces also, other sister forces also, and we are used to managing, complex and diverse projects with meeting the timeline, and focus on the long-term goals and things like that. So I thought of taking up, a project-based role. But as they say, God has his own plans. So once I left, which I would speak subsequently, once I left, I landed up in job in the sales role. But what was perhaps, satisfying there was that it was a techno-commercial role, and which should be read in an underline, because, everybody, you may be a hell of a technical person, but what matters outside is that you have to be a very good techno-commercial guy. And that helped me, shaping myself. That role helped me in shaping myself to a techno-commercial rather than being purely technical. And the second aspect which helped me in that role was perhaps it had to do everything with the defense projects now. So what made me comfortable in my first gig was that that I would be going back to defense organization. I would be meeting my own friends, and gave me a little comfortable place, And there I worked for some time, about 2 odd years, and thereafter I switched my role. I was fortunate to get into a project role, and wherein I was, tasked to, oversee multiple projects and things like that, coordinate with different departments like supply chain, other departments, and and all these tasks which I understood that all these tasks which I was performing was actually a second nature to me, after the military service. There were definitely certain challenges also which one faced. Nothing comes for free. And especially when you're changing from a uniformed service to a corporate world, there were a lot of challenges. The one major challenge which I faced was that we are used to working in a hierarchical mode. And so there, one had to make a shift from, hierarchical to a totally collaborative approach to the leadership. That was a shift for me to understand. And another thing which has been ingrained into every uniformed guy is that directness. We are very direct with our responses, and we don't mince words. So that is where I had to, change myself, to temper my, directness into, a little bit. I had to temper it with some kind of a diplomacy, so that my directness is not actually, taken as a this, and little diplomacy I had to fit in. So that is all, and God has been kind, and all I did was, when I transited, I just stayed calm, and we were already used to working under pressure, so we just stayed made
True.
my. I just stayed calm and made some quick decisions, which led, that my teams also realized that we achieved the role, the aim and the outcome very effectively in the new role. And I found myself, in a good stand that thereafter.
Great.
Once this was done, and of course the growth, the success came, automatically. One, kept on moving up the ranks slowly. I served as so it is my 12th year, almost finishing 12th year
Yes.
prospect. And so almost 35 years plus, good. I mean,
Fantastic.
good. Thank you.
Yes,
That is it.
yes.
That is it.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
What an experience and what
yeah.
fantastic exposure you have, Kalnapri.
Thank
And
you.
a very great point you brought is that when I'm coaching a lot of military professionals, I ask them, what do you really want to do out there? So most of them come out and say, I can do supply chain, I can do techno, I can do security, I can do. I said, okay, but what do you really want to do out there? I mean, figure it out first. Have some
Yeah,
outcome. So I think this is a
absolutely.
great point which you brought.
Yeah.
So let's go over to Sumedha. Sumedha, we'll request you to introduce yourself. Talk about your transition journey.
Hi, Rimple. Hi, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm really glad that I'm here with all of you and people who are connecting live with us. So I got commissioned in the Air Force back in 2009. I'm an engineer by education. So I joined the technical branch of Indian Air Force, and thereon I was trained on the ground communications, very close to, to signals in the army, very similar to that. So I think those 10 years really shaped me to who I am today. Couldn't have been more lucky to be part of the forces, being the first one in the family, as well as, from the place that I hail from. So I would say those 10 years, how we were shaping up, we didn't realize, honestly. It was because that's the environment we were in, and we thought this is how life is supposed to be. This is how life looks, because you are with your mates, you're getting trained. Whatever the training is happening, you're going with the flow, then you're getting posted, then you're a little happy and a little sad that you're losing the whole batch of your course mates, but there are a couple of them who are still getting posted along with you. So that being said, because I was a short service commission, I knew this journey had to come to an end in 2019. Or I could have taken 4 years extension, but I was sure that if I need to start the next career, earlier the better. So I decided to leave at 10. And because there was an end date back in 2018, I knew that, now the end time is really coming close. It's not easy. So what I did, of course, like Amrik sir said, that, we speak to our seniors and try and follow their path and try and learn from similar experiences. So similar thing I also did. And I knew that there are a lot of courses going on, what the MOD, offers for the PRC courses. I think that was one of the best bet that I felt is for me. And I prepared for, and the timing has been really right, I would say. When I look back, I feel that dots kept getting connected for me. And I prepared for the CAT that IIM Ahmedabad used to have at that time for the veterans also. Was lucky enough to make it through and was back in college after 10 years. So military does keep you in touch with the books. There are mandatory courses, but they aren't that extensive. Like they're maximum for a 1 month or so. This was, back to college and studying all throughout after such a long gap when you're used to working, and also being there in the civil world. That was the interaction which happened, I would say, after 9.5 years, that you're open, you're not wearing uniform, you're not calling everybody sir and ma'am, you're going to classes again like an engineer or back to college, right? So I would say that was a wonderful experience, because those 6 months helped me personally a lot to unlearn and learn that what is happening around, more than just the studies or the course that it had. What I found more useful was the interactions, especially with the regular courses that are there on the campus. And the people who were visiting, other than, the daily courses, there were a lot of veterans coming back and talking to us. And there were other industry experts also, because that clears a lot of doubts. And now when I go back and speak to my fellow officers who are about to transition, I see that we all have almost similar questions. All have similar jitters that this is what I was doing in the forces. Where am I going to land, on the other side? Will there be a particular match or not? Even I had similar concerns going on in my head till the time I had offers in my hand. Some confidence, of course, looking at all the previous veterans who have transitioned. However, there was still that, am I good enough? Will I be a fit in the outside world? And I don't know how the world looks like. And so thankfully, I had a couple of offers in hand, and that time I chose UBS, and I've been no regrets so far. I've been there from last 5 years and have changed a couple of roles within UBS also. It has been an enriching journey, and I would really, what Colonel Amrik said really resonates with me, that there are challenges when you come out and you join, on floor, because you are not looking, the environment itself is not the same. Be it be a chair without headrest, be it be that on the floor with everybody, be it be getting your own tea and coffee. And because I commanded a unit for 3 years, life is very different. Not that we can't do our work, but the way, and everything is confined to, especially in my role, because we are global bank, that everything is confined to one screen. You're talking to, your reach is much more wider. However, you're just stuck to a screen. There's lesser, there's a mix of in-person as well as online. However, it is a different world, but it is matter of time, and we didn't even realize when we, started blending in. So I would say it goes both ways. That how much are we ready to unlearn? We really need to leave behind a lot of things, the ranks, but not the pride, not the experience. Sometimes people do take you as you're just starting, like a fresher, but we have an experience which nobody else has, because I believe the military trains us or gives us experience which is very holistic in nature, which prepares us to be to face anything which comes personally or professionally as well.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, so that
wonderful.
I'll stop here.
Yeah. Well, Sumedha, a great point, which, I have, because when I also take some trainings, and this is one of the points which I talk about, unlearn to learn new things and leave your baggage. There are certain baggages you need to leave. There are certain things which we can carry, but wonderful to hear your transition story. So let's go over to Varuna. Varuna, how about you introducing yourself? You have recently transitioned. So talk about your transition journey. You're speaking on mute. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Okay, please go ahead.
So first of all, thank you so much for having me on this forum. Thank you, M2C. Thank you, Rimple. And good evening to all the panelists. We have been speaking to each other remotely, but now good to see you all on the screen. So yeah, so just now, Sumedha just mentioned that there is a story and there is a transition from the big canvas to a very small screen. So my story is also from a headset of a radar screen when I was an air traffic controller in the Navy to a very small screen when I was speaking to the world, but limited to the screen. So yeah, I'm Commander Varuna 𝐸𝐴. I was an air traffic controller, got commissioned in the Indian Navy in 2009. And yes, after that, I got into various postings. Being a controller, having done the controlling duties, doing so many other duties that one can think of, I got so many postings. And the latest posting that I had was as an instructor, air traffic control instructor with the Indian Air Force in the Air Force Academy, where I could train Army, Navy, Air Force, and international officers.
Wonderful.
So thankfully, when we speak of diversity, when we speak of cultural diversity, so I was fortunate enough to get that cultural diversity of Navy, Air Force, both. So yes, that made a lot of difference, and that helped me for the transition from military to corporate. Being a computer science graduate, there was always an inclination towards technology. And whatever technology we use in defense forces, generally there is a taboo that in defense services, technology is not a very strong point. But we do use latest technologies, and we have worked on those. We have seen those processes. And having worked with such project in the Air Force Academy, it gave me that push to join in the corporate in the same portfolio, and I could use my experience in the corporate. Now it is close to 2 years when I am now transitioned to the corporate. Yeah, so I can relate to what Amrik sir said and what Sumida said, that it is quite an overwhelming feeling when you come outside. You see people are speaking about different positions, different courses, that I have done this course, I have done that course. Okay, my resume is ready, and you get overwhelmed. So
True.
There are so many questions that come to your mind, and you really need someone who can guide you. So for that, networking is very important. Approach people. Do not stop yourself. Be it junior, be it senior, 4 years junior, 6 years seniors, does not matter. Just approach them, and they are very, they will help you very openly. They will never shy.
Absolutely.
And I have got amazing responses from them.
Wonderful.
So we'll see further as we proceed in
Wonderful.
thank you
Yes,
so much
Varuna,
for having.
Wonderful to have you here. So let's go over to some questions. I have some questions for the panelists, and I'm sure there are certain questions which you also thought. So let's start with Kalnamrik. Kalnamrik, as I'm coaching a lot of military professionals, so they come up and most of them are saying, hey, I want to do project manager role and I want to do, PMO. So when I ask them what do you know about project manager and PMO, so they're like, maybe something they have heard or they've read somewhere. Since you have been in this field, so can you throw some light on PMO and the role of a project manager?
Well, Rimple, you have asked me a question which is very touching to me, and I hope I don't, convert this into a lecture.
No, we'll make sure.
The only thing is, yes, the kind of, skills which military veteran, brings on the table, which is very, very, known to all of us, like leadership, strategic planning, risk management, adaptability, and a strong communication skill, that makes them exceptionally well suited for, roles in the project management. By leveraging these, military experiences, veterans can, effectively transition from, into the corporate world and excel as a project manager. That's the bottom line. And they will definitely be able to drive success in their organization. While there are many things, when we are in the uniform, we are on the other side of the fence, and when we are doing projects for our, our respective organization, we see this project from the one side of the, prism, saying that we, basically, make certain kind of QRs and things like that, and we say, this is what we want, this is how it happens. We generally don't go very much into the detail of how the project is actually going to get executed. And though we execute certain project, but that is not actual implementation by somebody who is doing it, driving things day in, day out, and implementing things on ground. So I will not go into details as to what books lay out. I'll just talk about my experience of the 3-4 projects which I've done incidentally again for the defense forces. And I would like to point out certain things which are I have noted, which are very, very important, and which all of us should keep it in mind as a project manager if we take this role. Something very important is that whenever the customer lays out a scope of a project, we have to be very clear about the scope of the project, right? Normally, what we in the in the corporate world, we are looking for every and obviously so, because from there only our salaries come, and to how the revenue is going to come, how the money is going to come, and things like that, and we just pick up the order just like that. And something very important, is to understand scope both with the customer perspective and your perspective also. So that is why these normally when we do the bidding and all this pre-bid and all is very important. When people have to really go through the details as to what is what, and really clarify as to what is the scope of the project, and that's how bid and scope it and make a commercials out of it. So understanding scope is very important. Sometimes the vague words are written, and customer expectations are going deep down into things. I'll give you an example. Suppose a small word is written as a big data. The customer wants big data. Now, what is big data? They write just big data, and the customer, and if you win the contract, you'll have to provide the whole capsule of the big data. Now, big data is a vast subject. What exactly you want? To what extent you have to go, and what database management you have to do in that. That is something very important, which is very important for a project manager to understand. Right. This is one, and the leadership, of course, we have that leadership skill set, but what is important is in this partner is that we have to really lead and motivate the team. At times you will see that people have to be really motivated to, push things forward, and that's the difference. They're not self-propelled, and they have to be really pushed and monitored at every stage, So that's where your leadership skills, which one has, gained over the years, that matters. And sometimes you have to really go beyond the leadership. You have to go do really, sometimes you have to go through the micromanage. I don't say it's a good thing to do, but at times in the interest of the time and the project, and ensuring the quality and things like that, it is very important to, sometimes it is required that you need to micromanage things, so that things are happening on time and we are getting what is required to be taken out of that. The resource management next is very important, that we need to see what resources we have to have, so that the project is always kept on track. We have to, if resources will always be scarce. That's a common saying, and the common reality, not saying as such, it's a reality. So how you optimize the resources to meet the project demands, including something very important is managing the budgets. Your financials are very important. So how you manage your budget and optimize your resources and do the resource management so that your project stays on track is something very important for a project manager. And another thing which we have been taught is to manage the risk. This again assumes very important, the risk management. You should be very much aware that if you are taking certain action, then what are the risks involved and what are the trade-offs,
True.
And of course, and everything which happens must be communicated, in writing, which we have been taught. And whether it is to the customer or your higher ups or anything, any action which you are taking as a project manager or as a project director, I must say that you must, communicate very, very clearly that this is what we are going to do. These are what the financial implications are there. And your customer needs to be in sync with whatever you are trying to do. Nothing should be hidden from him, because at the end of the day, you have to take the documents to him and get it signed and get your money back from him. So it should happen with complete customer satisfaction, and there your customer relationship and your communication skills play a very important role, in grooming yourself as a good project manager.
Wonderful.
And these all things, whatever the project goes on, the daily monitoring. You talked about PMO, it's a project management organization, and who does all this? There is a team of guys whom you will start hating, if they are there in your team. But they are very much required. These are the guys who keep the checks and balance. They are monitoring and reporting. Sometimes you will be eating, drinking, and playing with these people, but they will not mind reporting it, and getting it. I immediately remember an example. My brother was in the Air Force. He was in the flying branch. I had 76 used to fly, and one of his friends came for a party over. He was to test him in the morning. But he failed him in the morning. They were all partying in the evening, but they failed him in the test in the morning. This is, you're not meeting the expectations, So that kind of, role these people have,
True.
very important. And something again very important in the end is, I feel the time is very important. Time and quality have to be, controlled. So if you want to maintain a quality and time, there they have to be really having a total balance between each other. Quality has to be delivered and the time also has to be done. So you really have to maintain a kind of a balance there, and maintain the quality as well as the timelines, which are very important for any project to get executed. And finally, when you close the project, that's very important. When you close the project, ensure that all deliverables which you are required to be giving are delivered in a timely manner and in a satisfactory manner. And you must, as we do it in all the appreciation, all the exercises in the defense, our project review and capturing lessons learned out of everything is very important. This is absolutely akin to what we have done. The only thing when we are transiting, we have to put it in the right container. We know everything, but we have to put it in the right container. So when our colleagues, in the uniform, they are doing their transition, want to do a project management role and things like that. This is what containerization they have to, understand and learn by virtual courses and other things, by discussion. And that's it. And that's not
wonderful. I think great. Yeah. Great insight, Colonel. I mean, give a lot of details. Yeah, got a lot of details.
This is totally practical. Yeah, totally practical as to what I
wonderful,
feel.
Wonderful to hear. And I think that's the whole aim of the session, is to give your practical experience. So, Sumita, coming to you, what appealed you to go to a tech industry? And also, a lot of veterans are looking at going into this tech industry as a second career. So, what is the advice for them from you?
So, I'm an engineer by education and also got trained on as a technical officer within the Air Force. So I was always very close to technology. But what kind of technology, it depended, right? That even in the Air Force, you give some choices, but based on your ranking, you don't know what you are going to get, whether you're going to get a radar, whether you're going to get an aircraft, or which aircraft, or the ground communications, or GW, or anything else. So I was lucky enough. I really wanted to go to networks, but when I was transitioning, the way networks work within the Air Force and outside might not be same, because we are talking about in the forces, we are talking about networks within India. Here it is even beyond that if you are working with an MNC. And also it depends that what time are you coming out, right? It might not happen that what technology you were working back in the forces, you will get a role within those technologies in the outside world. Right? That is one. Second, yes, there is a lot that we as veterans, I personally feel, need to do is to break those myths, because a lot of hiring managers or HR partners also feel that we are not at par with the technologies that are going in the outside world. Or they just feel that Fauji's just, how to shoot, or they go fly planes, or they know how to ride the tanks. And this is what they do. They don't understand that where and how we are working on the technology back in the forces also. I have seen things changing because when I joined the Air Force, the AFNet was just coming in. So we have seen those changes from Tropo to the new environment, and even the upgrades happening later on. So I would say it's not particularly the technology, but also the equipment to be close to the technology. If you have an experience in programming, or you've been posted to such places, depending on Army, Air Force, Navy, whichever way, whichever services, but you have that inclination. It could be that you would like to, go on how to practice on those technologies, or there could be some technology which the force is still not using, right? They could be, because that depends on company to company also. It's not that all the technologies that are existing in the outside world, like I'm not sure that where AI is being implemented in the forces as of yet. It will take some time. However, in the outside world, this is the in thing. And if this is what appeals you, try and speak to your mentors. Try and speak. Don't find mentors only within the Fauji's, I would say. LinkedIn is a great platform. That's how we all are connected right now also. So let's try and leverage the potential that this network, this platform has. And I have seen people, if you're genuine and you're not just starting your messages with hi, hello, but stating the, why you're reaching and what is that your inclination is towards. And I have met amazing mentors and amazing people out on LinkedIn platform, especially during the pandemic time, because we had no other way. You can find people within your company or ex-4Gs. However, I would say don't limit yourself. And the other side of the story is, like which I alluded earlier, that we all need to put in a lot of work within our companies also, where people understand that what are the transferable skills on the technology
Oh,
side also. The
yeah.
technical roles are not only very technical or hands-on. You can still be very close to technology, and if you're at a middle management level or a senior management, you might not get senior management immediately because it's not the same technology, but you can start from senior mid-level kind of roles where you're techno managerial, or you can be
Yeah.
project manager or a program manager also. But if it is depends what the product is. It is a software,
True.
it's a technical, is it cloud or what it is? It depends on that. So I completely resonate with you, what Rimple you said earlier, that you decide that what is that you want. And, when we are doing the courses, or what we hear during even my 6 months at IIM Ahmedabad, that we classify the roles only into operations, technical, into admin or something like that. But that's a very broad
True. True.
category. There are so many things. There are people who are working on IT projects with HR. So that's a
True.
technical role. We
Yeah.
can't say that
Yes.
it's only an HR role.
True.
Right?
True.
So there are a combination of things, and people might say that, I personally feel when I read my profile that it is kind of a jack of all trades. However, we do bring a lot of diverse kind of experience being in the forces.
Yeah.
Were secondary duties we were given to, but doing that, we have developed a can-do attitude. However, the major difference between the civil and the corporate world is that in the FOGI and the corporate world is that in FOG, we are told that you're an officer, go deliver this, and then you find
True.
ways how to deliver it. Here, people might not give you that kind of opportunity. You will have to raise your voice and ask for it, that this is what I want to do.
I want to do. True.
And I want to develop in, and can you shadow me? And even if in my current role, like most of the companies, they do allow internal mobilities. They do allow, you can collaborate with people outside your teams. And what 4Gs come with, we are taught during our training that how to go and speak to new people, right? I remember when we were doing our training, and in the parties, we all the course mates used to stand together, and some senior would come and say,
I know.
people, right? So we have kind of learned that, but it's time to put those two
True.
into the real life,
Absolutely.
and people come forward, and
Wonderful.
even the technology. The first role which I took, it
Hmm.
wasn't at all similar to what I was doing back in the forces. However, there were parallels, how that role will be conducted, and
Correct.
all I needed was to get the on-the-job training, which defense generally gives you. If they are changing your, posting or to a particular system, they'll give you that training. But the civil world never, not always has that option available. But the good part is that you have so many things to choose from. So
True.
you
Absolutely.
can navigate how
Great.
you want to.
Yeah, great insight about the tech industry. Well, I'm coming to Varuna. Varuna, in this audience, we have a lot of people who are at that verge of transition, right? Or they have a year or maybe just 6 months. And you have, it's been almost about 1.5, 2 years that you've transitioned. So you fairly understand what they are going through. So can you talk about, how did you identify what you wanted to do, which I was telling is so important? And then how did you go about finding your domain?
Okay. So, Dimple, thank you for the question. Coming to first part of how did I identify? So as I told in my last appointment, I was working very closely with the technology, and I was a key member in delivering one of the simulator. So that really helped me to force my inclination towards technology, because I was on the verge of retirement. My 14 years were completed. So I am one of that person. If someone can resonate, I was a hardcore Fauji. I never wanted to leave Fauj. Unlike Sumedha, I was never prepared that I will leave in 10 years. given a chance, had there been any permanent commission in my branch, I would have continued. But at this point of time, when you have decided you have to be on one side, first thing, you cannot be in two minds. This is the first thing. Half of the problem will be resolved when you decide to be on one side. When I say you decide to be on one side, that means you are right now opening the doors. You may be doing something. Right now, I was an air traffic controller. So risk management, stakeholder management, decision making, quick decision making, because you are playing with lives. That came as a reflex to me. So by an attitude, I was oriented towards it, and as an amalgamation with the technology, that worked out for me. So I thought my path has a portfolio manager in risk management and conflict management, and working on that. But coming to the second part of it, which is the main motive of this session. So how to identify? It might happen that you were a logistic officer, or you were an air traffic controller, or you were flying an aircraft, but you still want to go in operations. Completely fine. You can still go in coding. There is no barrier. You can still go in coding. You can be a coder. You can be a close person who's close to technology. You can work in AI ML. You can work in cloud. You can work in cloud security. You can be in information security. Inside information security, you can look after cyber security. There's no dearth of options. So first of all, we have to open doors initially as to what I may fit, depending on my experiences and my inclination. For that, first thing I would like to say is learning and certification. Right now, what I was speaking about is, everyone is doing certifications. 50% people are doing PMP, 60 are doing Lean Sigma, a few of them are doing Scrum Master. So I will also enroll in one of the certification and get done with. But what is the importance? Why are you doing it? Because you want some confidence within. You want that, okay, one step is covered. I have done this certification. My path is towards what I want to achieve after retirement. So if you're so clear, be clear initially only what do you want to do. For that, you will have to speak to people. You have to listen to perspective. You have to approach people inside Forge, outside Forge. You have to understand how it looks like from their lenses. And will you fit in that? You will have to spend hours and hours looking at JD. I remember the time when I used to spend hours looking at the JDs and try to compare and match my experiences. Do I fit in here? Will I be happy? Will I be able to perform? It is not only getting into corporate. Your afterlife starts the day one when you join the corporate. When you join the corporate, that time your life starts, and that time it will not be OJT, as Sumita said. There will not be someone who will be telling this is supposed to be done this way. You have to find your own ways, and people will be looking up to you as a military leader.
Absolutely,
and
great point.
To handle that pressure, you should be ready. So certification, choose your certification wisely. If you really want to do PMP, project management, do PMP, but don't do PMP just because everyone is
everybody is doing. That's so true.
This goes for all the certifications.
All the certifications.
I will come to second point of it, resume building. This is something, and Rimple, you also are working very closely with this nerve point of all the people who are transitioning. So what worked for me, I can share. Looking back for 14 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 23 years, you only remember the big milestones that you've achieved. You must have been commended or on the spot commendation. All those big pillars only you remember. But you always forget the small learnings that you have gathered in 14 years. So first thing, don't get overwhelmed. Go step by step. First step you should take today itself. That's write everything. Starting from procuring of a pen till procuring of an aircraft. Procuring from a small part of an engine till procuring of an engine. What matters to an interviewer or outside world is not that how big the product you have procured, the process which you have gone through in procuring matters. And that is what will be put to use in the corporate world. This experience will be helpful. What documentation was done? What stakeholder management was done? How did you go for budgeting? Right? How did you convince the higher management? In our case, MOD, Navy, Army, Air Force. So how did you convince? Because the budget has to come. Same as budget has to come from top down in corporate as well. So all this skill will be useful in that. So write down everything. You will not, believe you me, you will write a book about yourself. And right now, if you think for 5 minutes, you will not be able to speak more than 3 minutes. So that book has to be done in a crisp form. Read JDs, what your experience are matching with the keywords. Write down, make it a even crisp form. But one request to all of you, do not forge. Don't use any other's resume, because when you will go in an interview, you will be speaking for yourself, and it comes very handy if you have written it. It will come as reflexes. So do not take others' resume. And third is networking, which Sumedha has rightly taught. Approach, do not shy. There will be times when people will be busy, they are not able to answer, but they will come back. So don't get disheartened. At times it happens that we approach people, they read the message, they don't come back or they don't reply. It does not mean they are not interested in helping. They might be caught up with something. So you approach 20 people, 2 will reply, and that will be helpful.
Absolutely, Varuna. Wonderful. So, speakers, I think we are already up the hour. So I'll quickly ask each one of you that, it has been amazing speaking to all of you. So some few words for the audience as parting, some, 1 or 2 nuggets or, gold nuggets to all of you. So we'll start with Sumedha. How about you? A few points to the audience, people, especially who are transitioning, and to companies as well.
Yeah, no, I thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm really glad that we are leveraging LinkedIn and you are helping us all connect. And I'm sure a lot of people who are not able to join, they can get to the recordings later on.
Yes.
And we might have spoken just 45 minutes, but every minute had different lessons. So, I would say even people who have listened right now, go back to it and listen again, because I could see that Amrik sir has already stolen the show since the first answer, that he mentioned all the things that we are doing.
I know.
We should be looking at while transitioning, or what is helping even going forward. So I would say don't get disheartened. Sometimes it's not only that you are not, I have seen a lot of, some of my colleagues or some of our, fellow officers getting a little disheartened because the timing is not correct. Because of the market, because there is no demand of such roles, right? It is not always it is not always a question on your capability. So keep that in mind. Each one of us is doing great outside, and even if you are in that transition journey, it might be that you are not in the first 10 within your course who are getting placed. Do not get that self-doubt get onto your head, because it's not true. Trust me, it is not true at all. Even I used to feel that, oh, they are already working, that's why they are saying. Trust me, it's not true.
It is not like that true.
It could happen because of a lot of reasons. Maybe they're not looking at the right place. Maybe they're not right kind of roles available at that point in time when you are leaving courses, because it is a lot of dependency on the demand. It is not a question of supply always. And yes, which I said earlier also, all of us who are already part of the corporate, in our own fields, in our own companies, if we can work closely with the HR for them to understand that what are the jargons in the 4G resume means, and also what are the JDs that can be very close. It might not be 100% match, but on aptitude, if it is a 60 to 70% match, and it is our responsibility, I would say, to go to the to the hiring managers within our company who can understand and take that leap of faith with the defense forces.
Wonderful. Amrik, last few words from your side to the audience.
So both the panelists have actually spoken most of it, and Varuna has taken the complete rundown. I'd say only 1 or 2 things, very quickly. See, anybody who's wanting to come out, firstly, he should prepare himself mentally and emotionally, period. He should be mentally prepared that he is going to be changing the entire world. And by saying so, I'm not trying to frighten them or something. And transition is going to be challenging, but make your mind and fit into the right job. Stay patient, and maintain
Yeah.
a positive mindset. It's not that कि यार मैं 12 तारीख को retire हो रहा है and I have to go and immediately I should get a job. Stay calm.
True.
You
True.
will get a job. Just stay calm. Keep your head between the two ears and हो जाएगा. It will happen and you'll land up into a good job. Because don't underestimate your strengths. And this transition can be emotionally very taxing actually, because you're coming from a different world and going to the different setup altogether. Don't hesitate to speak to your family, friends, counseling, your peers. Join some veteran groups. You'll keep hearing from them. Your phone will keep buzzing. And be ready to adopt the corporate culture. As Sumedha just said, keep your brass at home and be ready to embrace the
Absolutely.
corporate culture, and don't expect everybody to call you sir. It's a one name culture, and just keep
I
your
know.
baggage at home and make a fresh
True.
start, and you already have 80% of the quality.
Absolutely.
Rest 20 is
Absolutely.
just the
Well done.
tweaking of this. All the best, and thank you very much, Rimple, to you and your team at
Thank you.
MTC for having organized
you.
such a wonderful evening. And I know we are overshot. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Varuna, last one, you have your 30 seconds.
I'll just cut off. So basically, I will just wish good luck to all of you who are transiting. Have faith in yourself, have faith in surroundings. It might take 6 months. You will see the change happening. Take one step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed with the people who have got the job or who are already in the corporate world. You will also get there. When you look back, you will really enjoy the process. This is very important. Enjoy the process.
Absolutely.
And good luck to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kanlamri. Thank you, Sumedha. Thank you, Varuna.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
sure
Thank you
that
so much.
all the audience who are watching us have benefited. What insight and wonderful, wonderful session it has been. So the audience, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, panelists. We are going to be, as I said, we're going to have 2 live sessions for this particular month. So we're going to come with the next live session soon. So keep watching the space. Thank you, everyone. And goodbye for now. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.